शिष्य गुरु गौरांग गिरिधारी शिष्य राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरन मोहन जू की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शीतल शीत शिस्मार भक्तिवेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शीतल शीत शिस्मार भक्तिवेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शीतल शीत शिस्मार भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शीतल शीत शिस्मार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद शीतल शीत शिस्मार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्री गोरक्षर स्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्ट श्री सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्यल प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबू जी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वार्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शारद गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम अचय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल व्रज मंडल मथुर वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट विदात गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योग माया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री what Akadashi is it? Is it Utpanna Akadashi? I think so. Utpanna Akadashi Titiki. No, I forgot. Anyways, Shri Akadashi Titiki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Jai. Samagat Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Shri Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams everybody. All right, I am running late today because I had to make an offering. All of a sudden, and I was already running late. So I'm just going to jump right into the Mangalacharan and we'll begin. अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे गौरचन्द्राय राधिकायै तदालये कृष्णाय कृष्णभक्ताय तद्भक्ताय नमो नमः। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। आजानुलम्बितभुजौ कनकावदातौ सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ। नमस्त्रिकालसत्याय जगन्नाथसुताय च सभृत्याय सपुत्राय सकलत्राय ते नमः। जय 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 विश्वम्भर द्विजराज जय विश्वम्भर प्रिय वैष्णव समाज। गौरचंद्र जय धर्म सेतु महाधीर जय संकीर्तनमय सुंदर शरीर। जय नित्यानंदेर बांधव धन प्राण जय गदाधर अद्वैतेर प्रेम धाम। जय श्री जगरानंद प्रिय अतिशय जय वक्रेश्वर काशीश्वरे हृदय। जय जय शिवासादि प्रिय वर्गनाथ जीव प्रति करो प्रभु शुभ दृष्टिपात मध्य खंड कथा जेन अमृतेर खंड जे कथा सुनिले घुचे अंतर पाषंड मध्य खंड कथा भाई सुनो एक चित्ते संकीर्तन आरंभ होइलो जेनो मते. Oh, dear brothers, please hear attentively the topics of Madhya-khaṇḍa, wherein the inauguration of the Sankirtan pastimes is described. Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina iti vigyaya devi tvam nayamam charanantikam. Bhaktya vihina aparada lakshai क्षिप्ताष्टकामादितरङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम् भज श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानन्द श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासरि गौर भक्तवृन्द Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. The glories of Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata and Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur from Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. Ore mura loka shuno Chaitanya Mangal Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Beshakal Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Ved Vyas Chaitanya Lila Vyas Vrindavana Das Koilo Chaitanya Mangal Jahara Shavane Nashe Sarvaya Mangal Chaitanya Nitar Jate Janiye Mahima Jate Jani Krishna Bhakti Siddhanter Sima Bhagavate Jata Bhakti Siddhanter Sar Likhiya Chen Iha Jani Koriya Udhar. Sorry. Bhagavate Jata Bhakti Siddhanter Sar Likhiya Chen Iha Jani Koriya Udhar. Chaitanya Mangala Shune Jadi Pashandi Javan Sheho Maha Vaishnava Hoy Tatakhan Manushe Rachite Nare Aiche Granta Dhanya Vrindavana Dasa Mukhe Vakta Shri Chaitanya Vrindavana Dasa Pore Koti Namaskar Aiche Granta Korite Ho Tarilo Sangsar Narayani Chaitanyer Uchishta Bhajan Tar Garbe Janmila Shidasa Vrindavan Tar Ki Arbhuta Chaitanya Charita Varnan Jahara Shavanin Shuddha Koilo Tribhuvan Sahaje Vichitra Madhur Chaitanya Vihar Vrindavan Dasamukhe Amrite Dhar Vrindavan Dasamukhe Amrite Dhar. By nature, all the activities of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet, and when they are described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki Jai. The Gaudiya Bhashya commentary of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Jai Śrī Sachinandan Gaura Hari ki jai, Śrī Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Hare Krishna, everybody. Dandavat pranams. Let's see all who is there. Haribo, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, Champak Mataji, Krishna Mai Didi, and Chintamani Didi. Haribo. And on YouTube and Facebook, I see Vidya Lalasa Didi. Haribo. Okay, it is Utpanna Akadashi. Okay, sorry. Wait. Prajumna Prabhu and Mantramurti Mataji. And whoever else is watching. There's a few other people watching, but I only see who's there if you write a comment. Okay, so today we are, this is our last day of reading the Madhya-khaṇḍa. So yeah, I'm hoping to finish this chapter today. And then tomorrow we will begin the second chapter. Wait, is today Kala Krishnadas's appearance day? Is it tomorrow? Maybe it's tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. Anyhow. I need to update my calendar thing. All right, sharing my screen and we will begin. Okay, so we'll do a recap up to what verse? 374. Okay, so after Mahaprabhu instructed, he okay. Let's just, I'm gonna go back a few verses, or more than a few. Okay. When the Lord of the three worlds began to teach, nothing other than Krishna came from his mouth. The students asked, "What is the meaning of Siddhavarna Samamnaya?" The Lord replied, "Narayan is situated in every letter of the alphabet." The students asked, "How were the letters of the alphabet perfected?" The Lord replied, "By the merciful glance of Krishna." The students asked, "O Pandit, please explain properly." The Lord replied, "Every moment, remember Krishna." I am explaining to you about the worship of Krishna, which is the purport of the beginning, middle, and end of all Vedic literature. Oh, one second. Let me do this. There. Oops. Okay, sorry. Okay. Okay, now. Okay, I am explaining to you about the worship of Krishna, which is the purport of the beginning, middle, and end of all Vedic literature. Okay. Hearing the Lord's explanation, the students began to laugh. Some remarked, "It appears he is affected by an imbalance of life airs." The students asked, "From where did you get this explanation?" The Lord replied, "This is the verdict of the scriptures." The Lord said, "If you cannot understand now, then I will explain to you in detail this afternoon. I will also go to sit in a solitary place and look at my books. Let us meet together in the afternoon." Hearing the Lord's words, all the students packed up their books and left. All the students reported to Gangadas Pandit everything that Nimai had explained to them. In every explanation that Nimai Pandit has given recently, he explains Krishna as the meaning of every word. Since he has returned from Gaya, he does not mention anything other than Krishna in his explanations. He always loudly chants the name of Krishna, and the hairs of his body stand on end. Sometimes he laughs or shouts loudly as he manifests different moods. Every day he takes the dhatu, the verbal root, of every word and explains Krishna through grammatical rules. O Pandit, we are unable to understand his present characteristics, so please tell us what to do. Hearing the student's words, the Brahman Gangadas Pandit, who is the crest jewel of teachers, burst into laughter. Gangadas said, "Go home now and return soon. This afternoon I will instruct him. Then he may teach you properly. You may also come with him in the afternoon." All the students happily returned to their homes, and in the afternoon they came with Vishvambar to the house of Gangadas Pandit. The Lord took the dust of the feet of his guru, and his guru blessed him, saying, "May you attain knowledge." The Lord's teacher said, "My dear Vishvambar, please hear my words. The studying of a Brahman is not the result of being less fortunate." Oh, Hare Krishna. Oh, I didn't see you before. Nri Hari Prabhu, Dandavanam Pavatarani Mataji, and Shubhanand Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Your maternal grandfather is Nilambar Chakravarti, and your father is Jagannath Mishra Purandar. There are no fools in either your maternal or paternal families, and you yourself are most qualified to explain the commentaries. If by giving up studies one becomes a devotee, then were your father and grandfather not devotees? Remembering all this, practice your lessons properly. Only through proper study can one become a Vaishnava Brahman. How will an ignorant twice-born know what is proper and what is not? Knowing this, you should chant the name of Krishna and concentrate on your studies. Go now, but promise me that you will teach the scriptures properly without any different meanings. The Lord said, "By the mercy of your feet, no one in Navadip can stand before me in debate. Who in Navadip can refute my explanations of the sutras? I will teach publicly in the middle of the city. Let me see who has the power to challenge me." Gangadas became pleased on hearing these words of the Lord, who then offered his respects at his guru's feet and departed. I offer my humble obeisances at the feet of Gangadas Pandit, whose disciple is the Lord of the Vedas and the master of the goddess of learning. What else is there to be attained by Gangadas Pandit, whose student is worshipped throughout the 14 worlds? As Lord Vishwambar walked along with the students, he appeared like the full moon surrounded by the stars. He whose lotus feet are kept in the heart of Lakshmi came and sat at the doorstep of a local resident's house. Wearing his cloth like a sannyasi, the Lord repeatedly established and refuted sutras. The Lord said, "In Kali Yuga, one who does not have any knowledge about the conjunction of words is awarded the title Bhattacharya, and one who has no knowledge of grammar is engaged in explaining logic. But none of them can defeat me. Who can challenge the way I refute and establish a sutra?" In this way, Vishvambar, the Lord of the universe, spoke. Who has the power to answer his challenge? The pride of those teachers who heard such words as they passed by on their way to take bath in the Ganga was smashed to pieces. Who in Navadip had the power to establish a conclusion before Vishvambar? In this way, Vishvambar was absorbed in ecstasy as he continued to give his explanations well into the night. By providence, one most fortunate Brahmana was sitting at the doorstep of a nearby house. He was well known by the name Ratnagarbha Acharya, and he was a friend of the Lord's father, being born in the same village. His 3 sons, Krishnananda, Jiva, and Yadunath Kavichandra, were like bees at the lotus feet of Krishna. That topmost Brahmana had the highest respect for the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, and he would recite verses of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam with great affection. Now there's this beautiful verse about spoken by the wives of the Mathura Brahmanas. His complexion was dark blue. This is a famous verse. Shamam hiranya pardhim vanamali barha dhatu pravala natavesha anavritam she vinyasta hastamitarena dhuna namabjam karnot palala kakapola mukabjahasam. His complexion was dark blue and his garment golden. Wearing a peacock feather, colored minerals, sprigs of flower buds, and a garland of forest flower and leaves, he was dressed like a dramatic dancer. He rested one hand upon the shoulder of a friend, and with the other twirled a lotus. Lilies graced his ears, His hair hung down over his cheeks, and his lotus-like face was smiling. As this, wait, what's his name? Okay, his name is Ratnagarbha Acharya, and his sons are Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana, Jiva, and Yaduna. Okay, so as Ratnagarbha Acharya, devotedly recited the verses of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with great satisfaction, the sound of his recitation entered the ears of the Lord. When the Lord heard that glorification of devotional service, he lost external consciousness and fell to the ground. All the Lord's students became struck with wonder. Shortly thereafter, the Lord regained his external consciousness. Upon regaining consciousness, Vishvambar repeatedly exclaimed, Go on reciting, bolo, bolo, as he rolled on the ground. The Lord said, Bolo, bolo, chant, chant, and the pious Brahmin continued reciting. Thus, an enchanting ocean of happiness and Krishna consciousness manifest. The earth became soaked with the tears of the Lord, who manifests ecstatic symptoms like tears, shivering, and hair standing on end. When the pious Brahmana saw the Lord's great happiness, he recited the verses with increased devotion. Seeing his devoted recitation of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Lord became pleased and embraced him. Being embraced by the Lord of Vaikuntha, Ratnagarbha became filled with love of God. Ratnagarbha wept aloud as he clasped the Lord's feet. Thus, the Brahman was ensnared in the network of Lord Chaitanya's love. As the Brahman repeatedly recited verses with love and devotion, the Lord loudly exclaimed, Go on reciting, bolo, bolo. On seeing this, the local inhabitants were struck with wonder and offered their respectful obeisances. Then Gadadhar said, Do not recite any more, and everyone sat around Lord Vishvambar. After a short time, Lord Gauranga regained his external consciousness and inquired, What did you say? What did you say? The Lord asked, Have I been restless? The students replied, Your actions are glorious. What power do we have to explain your activities? The Lord's intimate associates intervened. They said, Do not indulge in praising him. Upon regaining his consciousness, Vishvambar restrained himself. Thereafter, he went with his associates to see the Ganga. He offered obeisances to the Ganga and sprinkled water on his head. Then he sat down on the bank of the Ganga with his associates. Just as the son of Maharaj Nanda enjoyed various sporting activities on the bank of the Yamuna while surrounded by the cowherd boys, the son of Shachi enjoyed discussing topics of Krishna on the bank of the Ganga, surrounded by his devotees. After some time, Vishvambar sent everyone home and then returned to his own home. There, the Lord of the entire universe took his meal and then glanced towards Yoga Nidra. He took rest. After the night passed, that was at nighttime, okay. After the night passed, all the students came and sat down with their books to study. The Lord quickly returned from his bath in the Ganga after taking his seat, he began to explain the texts. The Lord's explanations did not deal with anything that was not related to Krishna. He explained every word in relation to Krishna's devotional service. The students inquired, What is the definition of dhatu, or verbal root? The Lord replied, That which is called Krishna's energy. Oh, brothers, listen as I explain the aphorisms about dhatus. I would like to see who has the power to refute my explanation. Now he says, All the kings we have seen had luxurious bodies, decorated with gold and beautified with fragrant sandalwood paste. Although their words determine a person's prosperity or death, hear what happens to them when their dhatu leaves their bodies. No one knows where the beauty no one knows where the beauty of their bodily limbs goes, as some bodies are burned and some are buried. The energy of Krishna dwells in the body of every living entity as the dhatu, or active principle. All affection and devotion is meant for him alone. Because of illusion, teachers cannot understand this. Yet consider carefully whether I am right or wrong. There are persons to whom we now offer obeisances and respects, but when the active principle leaves their bodies, we must take bath after touching them. The son who is happily nourished on the lap of his father touches the fire of cremation to the mouth of his father after the active principle leaves him. That which is called dhatu is the power of Krishna, the beloved of all. Is there anyone who can deny this? O brothers, please render unflinching devotional service unto Krishna, whose energy is most pure and worshipable. Chant the name of Krishna, worship Krishna, and hear the name of Krishna. Bolo Krishna, bhajo Krishna, shuno Krishna naam. Day and night meditate on the lotus feet of Krishna. Anyone who offers a little water or durva grass at the lotus feet of the Lord is never subjected to the punishment of Yamaraj. Worship the lotus feet of Nanda Nandan, who delivered Agasura, Bakasura, and Putana. Okay, and we didn't read this Gaudiya Bhashya, so I will read it now. The deliverance of Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. The deliverance of Agasura is described by Sri Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:12 verses 38 to 39 as follows. Krishna is the cause of all causes. The causes and effects of the material world, both higher and lower, are all created by the Supreme Lord, the original controller. When Krishna appeared as a son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, he did so by his causeless mercy. Consequently, for him to exhibit his unlimited opulence was not at all wonderful. Indeed, he showed such great mercy that even Agasura, the most sinful miscreant, was elevated to being one of his associates and achieving Sarupya Mukti, which is actually impossible for materially contaminated persons to attain. If even only once, or even by force, one brings the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into one's mind, one can attain the supreme salvation by the mercy of Krishna, as did Agasura. What then is to be said of those whose hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters when he appears as an incarnation? Are those who always think of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the source of transcendental bliss for all living entities, and by whom all illusion is completely removed. The deliverance of Putana, the sister of Bakasura, is described by Sri Shukadeva Goswami to Maharaj Parikshit in the Srimad Bhagavatam 10:6 verses 35 and 38. It's explained as follows. Putana was always hankering for the blood of human children, and with that desire she came to kill Krishna. But because she offered her breasts to the Lord, she attains the greatest achievement. Because Krishna embraced Putana's body with great pleasure and sucked her breasts, although she was a great witch, she attains the position of a mother in the transcendental worlds, and thus achieves the highest perfection. What then is to be said of the cows whose nipples Krishna sucked with great pleasure, and who offered their milk very jubilantly with affection, exactly like that of a mother? The first line of this verse refers to the Lord who awarded the supreme destination to those who were killed by him. This is confirmed in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.1.205 as follows. Parabhavam te nila vaktranam cha bandham cha bhitam cha mritim cha kritva. Pavargadatapi shikandamole tam shastrabanam apavargadosi. O Krishna, whose head is decorated with a peacock feather, although you award the pavargas, the five situations of parajay, defeat, pain yukta, anana, foaming mouth, bandhan, bondage, bhai, fearfulness, and mrityu, death. So, although you award these pavargas to your enemies, you ultimately award them apavarga, or liberation. And just for anybody who doesn't know, in the alphabet, in the Sanskrit alphabet, there are different it's arranged by in a very organized way, different groupings. It starts from the back of the throat and it keeps on moving further until it gets to the front of the mouth. So there's the kavarga, kavarga, chavarga, tavarga, tavarga, and then pavarga, right? Or maybe I skipped one. Anyways, then there's a pavarga, and the pavarga is pa pa ba ba ma. So that's why you see pa for parajay, pa, pena yukta. Then ba bandhan, ba bhai, and then ma mrityu. Pa pa ba ba ma. Parajay, pena, bandhan, bhai, and mrityu. That's the pavarga. That means defeat, foaming mouth, bondage, fearfulness, and death. And then apavarga is the opposite of that. It's beyond. That means no defeat, no foaming mouth, no bondage, no fearfulness, no death. It's beyond that. It's transcendental, beyond this material world. So that's liberation. So whenever you hear apavarga, that's the meaning. Okay. So for a description of Krishna's killing of Bakasura and Agasura, one should see Srimad Bhagavatam 10:11 verses 47 to 53 and 10:12 verses 13 to 35. Okay, now continuing on. Okay, so Mahaprabhu said, worship the lotus feet of Nanda Nandan, who delivered Agasura, Bakasura, and Putana. By remembering that the holy name was not really that of his son. So by remembering that, Ajamil attains Vaikuntha. Therefore, worship the lotus feet of Krishna. While serving his lotus feet, Shiva goes about naked. The service of those lotus feet is desired by Lakshmi. Take straw between your teeth. Take straw between your teeth and worship Krishna. What? How come I'm losing? Oh, sorry, I lost my spot. Let me do this again. Okay. While serving his lotus feet, Shiva goes about naked, with the service of whose lotus feet is. Take straw between your teeth and worship Krishna, whose lotus feet are glorified by Lord Ananta. As long as there is life and strength in your body, you should render devotional service to the lotus feet of Krishna. Krishna is your mother. Krishna is your father. Krishna is your life and wealth. Krishna Mata, Krishna Pita, Krishna Pranadhan. I fall at your feet and beg you to engage your minds in thinking of Krishna. In the mood of a servant, the Lord continually narrated his own glories until half of the day had passed. The charmed students heard the Lord's explanation with rapt attention. None of them dared to open their mouths. Know for certain that they are all eternal servants of Krishna. When Krishna himself is teaching them, can they be anyone else? After a while, Vishwambar manifested his external consciousness. He felt ashamed by looking at everyone's face there. The Lord asked, "How is my explanation of the sutras and dhatus?" The students replied, "Your explanation was correct. There is no one arrogant enough to deny the meaning of every word that you have explained. Whatever you explained is perfectly true, but the aim for which we study is different. The Lord said, would you explain to me everything? Would you explain to me everything I said? Perhaps I have been overwhelmed by disorder of the nerves. What import of the sutras did I explain? The students replied, you have explained the name of Hari in all of them. You have explained that Krishna alone is the meaning of the sutras, the brief explanations, and the commentaries. This Krishna alone is the meaning of the sutras, the vrittis, and their tikas. But who is qualified to understand your explanations? By the transformations you undergo while hearing about devotional service, one can never consider you an ordinary human being. The Lord said, in what form do you regard me? The students replied, as the perfection of all excellence. We have never before seen the tears of love, the shivering, and the hairs standing on ends that you manifest. When you were teaching us yesterday in the town, a pious Brahmin recited one verse. On hearing that verse from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, you fell unconscious. We were amazed to see that there were no symptoms of life visible on your body. The way you cried after regaining consciousness, it appeared that the goddess Ganga had manifested there. When you eventually started shivering, even 100 persons were unable to hold you still. The hairs of your entire body stood on end, and your golden form was smeared with sweat, saliva, and dust. The hairs of your entire body stood on end, and your golden form was smeared with sweat, saliva, and dust. Everyone who saw you was struck with wonder and said, this person is Narayan himself. Someone said, the mercy he has received is comparable to that received by Vyasadeva, Shukadev, Narad, and Prahlad. Then with all their strength, they all held you still, and shortly after, you regained external consciousness. You do not know all these incidents. Now please hear attentively what we have to say. Since the past 10 days, you've explained that devotional service to Krishna in the holy name of Krishna is the meaning of every word of every Shastra. For the last 10 days, our studies have been held up, and we were afraid to inform you, of this. You know the unlimited meanings of every word. Who has the power to contradict even your light-hearted comments? The Lord said, your studies have been held up for 10 days? Shouldn't you have informed me about this? The students replied, your explanations were correct. The purport of all scriptures is that Krishna is the absolute truth. This is real study and the essence of all scriptures. And it is our fault if we do not accept it. Whatever you have explained is fundamental truth and the only knowledge worthy of the name. It is due to our own misdeeds that we do not accept it. The Lord was pleased on hearing the student's words. Out of compassion, he began to speak as follows. The Lord said, my dear brothers, whatever you have said is true, but do not tell anyone what I have said. Oh, brothers, I speak in this way because all I see is a blackish complexioned child playing on his flute. I hear only the name of Krishna, and I behold the entire world as the abode of Govinda. I humbly apologize to all of you. From today on, I will not continue with studies. I am giving you permission to study with whomever you like without fear. Wait, what verse did we read up to yesterday? 374. Oh, oops, I'm going too far. Let's go back. Okay. I'm just quickly checking the comments. Haribo, Mantramurti Mataji, Sudevi Didi, Vidya Lalasa Didi. Oh, today is Narahari Sarkar's disappearance day? Really? 1 second, let me just... Did I not put that in the calendar? Just checking this calendar. That's strange. On my calendar, it doesn't say that, but I wonder if it's on the GVP calendar. I'm just checking the GVP calendar. Let's see. What's the date? It is December 8th. Okay. Let's just see what it says here. It is not a Hari Sarkar, then usually. December 8th. Yeah, on this calendar also, like on the GVP calendar, it just says fasting for Utpanna Akadashi. And it doesn't mention anything about Kala Krishnadasa. It's interesting. And then on the 10th, day after tomorrow, is disappearance day of Srila Saranga Thakur. Okay. Okay. So the Lord was pleased on hearing the student's words. Out of compassion, he began to speak as follows. Prabhu bole bhai sab, kohila susatya, amar esab kata anyatra akatya. The Lord said, my dear brothers, whatever you have said is true, but do not tell anyone what I have said. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase anyatra akatya means it is improper to disclose to anyone else. Oh, I forgot to look also. There's Rup Mandri Pranams and Nitai and Govinda Saha. Wow, it's been a long time. Glad you're finally back. Haribol. Oh, it's on the Pure Bhakti calendar. Okay, interesting. I'm just looking at the... Thank you, Chintamani Didi. Okay. Okay. কৃষ্ণ বর্ণায় এক শিশু মুরালি বাজায় সবে দেখি তাই ভাই বলি সর্বথায় যত শুনি শ্রবণে সকল কৃষ্ণ নাম সকল ভুবন দেখি গোবিন্দের ধাম. So the Lord said, my dear brothers, whatever you have said is true, but do not tell anyone what I have said. O brothers, I speak in this way because all I see is a blackish complexioned child playing on his flute. I hear only the name of Krishna, and I behold the entire world as the abode of Govinda. Gaudiya Bhashya. Śrī Gaura is saying, I am always seeing a blackish complexioned young boy attracting everyone with the sound of his flute. Since I constantly see him only, I always chant his name and sing his glories. The sound vibration that enters your ears is simply the names of Krishna, and the material world, the field of enjoyment that you are presently seeing around you, is not actually a place for your enjoyment. Rather, it is Vaikuntha Goloka, the place of Krishna's enjoyment. Toma sabasthane mor e parihar, aji hoite ar pata nahi ko amar. I humbly apologize to all of you. From today on, I will not continue with studies. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word parihar means to promise, to swear, to accept, to advertise, to appeal, to request, to pray, to submit, or to speak with humility. Toma sabakar jar sthane chitta loy, tar sthane poro ami dilai nirbhoy. I am giving you permission to study with whomever you like without fear. Krishna binu ar bakya naspure amar, satya ami kohilaya chitta apanar. No word other than Krishna manifests to me. This is the true state of my mind. E bolo Mahaprabhu sabare kahiya, dilen puntite dor ashujukta hoya. After speaking in this way, Mahaprabhu, with tears in his eyes, tied up his books. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase dilen dor indicates that the Lord tied his books with ropes to or a string. Shishyagan bolen Koriya namaskar, Amra o Korilaya Shankalpa Tomar. The Lord's students offered obeisances and said, "We also make the same resolution as you." Gaudiya Bhashya. The second line of this verse means, following your footsteps, we are also retiring from studies. Tomar stane je porilaya, sorry, Tomar stane je porilaya ami sob, anasthane koribo ki grantha anubhav. Now that we have studied under you, what can we learn from anyone else? Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase grantha anubhav refers to the purport, true meaning, substance, essence, intention, or purpose of the scriptures. Gurur vichedukha sarva shishyagan, kohite lagila sabe koriya krandan. Being afflicted with separation from their teacher, all the students wept and began to speak as follows. Tomar mukhete jata shunilo vyakhyan, janme janme hridaye rahuk she dhyan. May the explanations that we have heard from you remain in our hearts, birth after birth. Kṛṣṇa giya ar kiba poribaya, she bhalo toma hoite joto janilaya. Whom can we approach and what can we study? We are quite satisfied with whatever we have learned from you. Eto boli prabhure koriya hat jod, pustake dilen sab shishya gana dor. After speaking in this way, all the students offered respects to the Lord with folded hands and then tied up their books with cords. Hari boli shishyagan korilen dhvani, sabha kole koriya kanden dvijamani. The students loudly chanted, "Hari, Hari!" Then the crest jewel of the twice-born began to cry as he embraced everyone. Shishyagan krandan koren adho muke, dubilen shishyagan parananda sukhe. The students cried with their heads down, and they all merged in the ocean of transcendental bliss. Ruddha kantha hoilen sarva shishyagan, Ashirvad kore Prabhu Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. The voices of all the students became choked. Then the Lord, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, blessed them all. Divas eko ami jadi hoy Krishna das, tabe siddha ho toma sabar abhilash. If I had been the servant of Krishna for even one day, then may all of your desires be fulfilled. Tomra shakale loho Krishner sharan, Krishna name purna ho sabar badan. All of you, take shelter of the lotus feet of Krishna, and may your mouths be filled with the names of Krishna. Niravadi Shravane Shunaho Krishnana, Krishna ho Toma Sabakar Dhana Pran. Constantly hear the names of Krishna. May Lord Krishna be your life and wealth. যে পড়িলা সে ভালো আর কার্য নাই সবে মিলি কৃষ্ণ বলি বায়া একঠায় Whatever you have learned is enough. There's no need for further studies. Now let us chant the names of Krishna together. Krishner Kripay Shastra Spuruk Sabar Tomi Sab Janma Janma Bandhava Amar. By the mercy of Krishna, let the purport of the scriptures be revealed to you. You are all my friends. You are all my friends, birth after birth. Prabhur Amrita Vakya Shuni Shishyagan Parama Anandaman Hoilo Tatakan. On hearing the Lord's nectarian words, the students became filled with ecstasy. Sheshab Shishir Pai Mor Namaskar Chaitanyer Shishatve Hoilo Bhagya Jar. I offer my humble obeisances at the feet of those students who were sufficiently fortunate to become Lord Chaitanya's students. Sheshab Krishner Das Jani Ho Nishchoy Krishna Jare Poraye Naki Sheki Anya Hoy. Know for certain that they are all eternal servants of Krishna. When Krishna himself is teaching them, can they be anyone else? Gaudiya Bhashya. See the previous verse, 346. Um, 398, 399. Okay. She Vidya Vilasa Dekilenje Je Jan. Tare O Dekile Hoy Banda Vimochan. Hoilo Papishta Janma Na Hoilo. Sorry. Hoilo Papishta Janma Na Hoilo Tokane. Hoilaya Vanchita Sheshuka Darashane. Just by seeing those who saw the Lord's scholastic pastimes, one is freed from material bondage. I am such a sinner that I did not take birth at that time. Therefore, I was deprived of the sight of those blissful pastimes. Gaudiya Bhashya. If one sees the pure liberated soul devotees who are fortunate enough to see the scholastic pastimes of Gaura Sundar, who is the life of all transcendental knowledge, who is the husband of the goddess, transcendental goddess of learning, and who is the personification of transcendental sound. So if one sees the pure devotees who are fortunate enough to see all this, then such a person becomes forever freed from the propensity of enjoyment, which is born of ignorance. Later on, Śrīla Thakur Narottam, he wrote in his Prarthana, Sheshab Sangir Sange Je Koilo Vilas Shesangana Paya Kande Narottamadas. Being unable to obtain the association of Lord Gauranga accompanied by all of these devotees in whose association he performed his pastimes, Narottam Das simply weeps. J in this verse is actually referring to Srinivasacharya. Jokon Gaura Nityananda Advaitadi Bhakta Vrinda Nadia Nagare Avatar তখন না হইল জন্ম এবে দেহে কিবা কর্ম মিছা মাত্র বহি ফিরি ভার I did not take birth at the time when Gaur, Nityananda, Advaita, and other devotees appeared in Nadia. What is the use of my birth now? I'm uselessly carrying the burden of this body. Tatap, tatapiha e kripa koro mahashai, she vidya vilasa mor rahuk hridoy. Still, O Lord, grant me this one favor. May your scholastic pastimes always remain in my heart. Oops, I just lost a spot. Always remain in my heart. Okay, there. Oporaila navadipe vaikunte rai. Adyapiha chinna ache sarva nadiyai. Evidence of the scholastic pastimes of the Lord of Vaikunta is seen throughout Navadvip. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word chinna refers to the place or abode where those scholastic pastimes took place. Chaitanya Leela Adi Abadi na hoy, Avirbhav Tirobhav E Vede koy. Although the Vedas describe the appearance, the Avirbhav, and the disappearance, the Tirobhav of Lord Chaitanya, there is actually no beginning or end to his pastimes. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word avadi means end, finish, or limit. For an explanation of this verse, one should refer to the Adi-khaṇḍa, chapter 3, verse 52. Emate paripurna vidyar vilas, saṅkīrtana arambher hoilo prakash. In this way, the Lord's scholastic pastimes came to an end, and the congregational chanting of the holy names was begun. Gaudiya Bhashya. Upon the inauguration of the congregational chanting of the holy names of Krishna, the Lord's scholastic pastimes were completed. The word Sankirtan refers to congregational glorification of the names, forms, qualities, associates, and pastimes of Sri Hari, as well as the hearing of such topics by service-inclined persons. This is a special characteristic of Sankirtan. Unless the names, forms, qualities, associates, and pastimes of Krishna are properly glorified, or unless they are glorified without offense, there's no possibility for materialistic people to forget of. There's no possibility for materialistic people forgetful of and averse to Krishna from time immemorial. There's no possibility for them to give up their absorption in material objects. If topics of the spiritual abode or transcendental topics of Krishna do not reach materialistic persons attached to sense gratification, then various concocted ideas or attempts for sense gratification will become prominent in the name of religion and thus create chaos in this world. Under the influence of his all-auspicious causeless mercy, the all-auspicious ocean of mercy and most magnanimous Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata protected the inhabitants of this world who were achaitanya, devoid of spiritual consciousness. So he protected the inhabitants of the world from their absorption in matter resulting from ignorance. In other words, he awakens the pure propensity for serving Krishna in the hearts of the animate and inanimate entities who are devoid of spiritual consciousness. He awakens them by preaching that the ultimate result of cultivating spiritual knowledge is to achieve the perfectional platform of serving Krishna. Chaturdike ashru khante khande shishya gan, sadai hoiya prabhu bolen vachan. The students surrounding the Lord were choked with tears as he mercifully spoke to them. Porilaya shunilaya jatta dina dhori kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana karo paripurna kori. You have studied and listened for many days. Now let us chant the names of Krishna together to make everything complete. I'm gonna just stand up. Sorry, I'm just studying to Veda. Gaudiya Bhashya. The Lord said, as a result of studying linguistic literatures for so long, I have understood that chanting the names of Krishna is the only essence and fruit of such studying and teaching. It is the only purport of the Vedas. Therefore, O students, you should constantly engage in Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years, which extinguishes the fire of the conditional life of repeated birth and death, which is the prime benediction for humanity at large, because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon, and which is the life of all transcendental knowledge. Okay, 1 second, just standing up. Shishyagan bolen ke mon sankirtan, apane shikayen prabhu shishat, apane shikayen prabhu shishachi nandan. The students asked, how shall we perform sankirtan? The son of Shachi then personally taught them to chant as follows. Gaudiya Bhashya. While describing kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana in reply to his students' inquiries about the absolute truth and devotional service to Vishnu, Śrī Vishwambar, who is the husband of Saraswati, the transcendental goddess of learning, taught those students about the descending process of accepting knowledge, avaroha panta, of accepting knowledge. Since the path of argument was not respected in his teachings, the uselessness of the ascending process of the aroha panta has been revealed. The chanting of the Vishnu mantras is recommended to check the sinful attempts for temporary fruitive activities and impersonal knowledge on the useless ascending path described in the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 6.3.25 and 10.14.3. That's the verses prayena veda tad idam and jnane prayasam urupasanamantameva. So karma and gyan, the path of karma and of gyan, they're called aroha panta. They're when you rely on your own strength to elevate yourself, make progress. And bhakti is the avaroha panta. It's the descending path, which in which you pray for mercy to pull you up. You depend on the Lord to it's like the path of surrender. But the path of karma and gyan, I don't need to surrender. I don't need to pray for mercy. I can do it on my own. But the concocted artificial, well, what's that word? Doggerel? I've never seen that word. Doggerel means comic verse composed in irregular rhythm. Doggerel verses. Okay. So, but the concocted artificial doggerel verses chanted by so-called Vaishnavas who maintain current misconceptions are those who are averse to the descending path and those who are envious of Hari, Guru, and Vaishnavas. They were not instructed by anyone, by either Mahaprabhu or by his non-duplicitous liberated servants, the Jagat Guru Acharya preachers. Rather, they gave instructions on chanting mantras and holy names received through disciplic succession. Mahaprabhu exhibited the pastime of receiving such mantras and holy names through disciplic succession and gave instructions on the same. Okay, so Mahaprabhu says, the students asked, how shall we perform Sankirtan? Kemon Sankirtan. Then the son of Shachi then personally taught them to chant as follows. Hare Haraye Nama Krishna Yadhavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. O Lord Hari, O Lord Krishna, I offer my obeisances to you, You who are known as Hari, Yadhav, Gopal, Govinda, Ram, and Shri Madhusudan. Gaudiya Bhashya. In this instance, the fourth case of the names of Hari and Yadav is used to indicate Sharanagati, or Atma Samarpan, surrender. Yes, that is, what is it called? Anyways, whatever. The fourth case, though. In other words, a person who is desirous of chanting the holy names of Krishna should first receive transcendental knowledge by fully surrendering at the lotus feet of a bona fide spiritual master, whose only resolution is to chant the holy names of Krishna. He should constantly engage in hearing the topics of the holy names of Krishna from the mouths of the spiritual master and the Vaishnavas. And he should loudly call out and always chant the holy names of Krishna without offense. If one wants to chant with full surrender and without duplicity by using the fourth or dative case of the holy names of the Lord, then he is chanting mantra. Okay, so the dative case, that means there's an object here, to blah, blah, blah. So I offer pranam to Krishna. That's the fourth case, the dative case. And if one chants the holy names of the Lord as an address, Sambodhan case, by using the vocative case, as in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, then he is engaged in bhajan, our worship of the holy names. Chanting the holy names in their fourth case indicates full surrender unto Krishna, unto Krishna, unto Krishna. Whereas chanting the holy names in the form of an address indicates a desire for eternal service. So yeah, I mentioned before, even in Sanskrit grammar, Krishna without any ending, like without a visarga, without an H with a dot under it, then that is literally, like grammatically, it's in the Sambodhan case. It means, "Oh Krishna." And so when you chant, the Maha Mantra is all in the eighth case, right? And it means, "Oh Krishna, oh Krishna, oh Hara, oh Krishna, oh Hara, oh Krishna, oh Krishna, oh Krishna, oh Hara, oh Hara, oh Hara, oh Rama, oh Hara," like that. By accepting Krishna mantra as sadhan and Krishna naam as sadhan, by accepting Krishna mantra as sadhan and Krishna naam as sadhan and sadhya, both sadhya and sadhan are accepted as non-different from one another and as adjacent categories of devotional service. Both mantra and naam are non-different from Vishnu himself. The practice of chanting mantra is meant to achieve knowledge of one's relationship with the Lord. And when one achieves perfection in chanting mantras, then the bhajan of such a liberated soul begins. In Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Adi, chapter 7, verse 73, it is stated, "Krishna mantra hoite have sangsara mochan, Krishna nam hoite pave Krishner charan." Simply by chanting the holy name of Krishna in the form of mantra, one can obtain freedom from material existence. Indeed, simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra in the form of address, one will be able to see the lotus feet of the Lord. Okay, verse 408. Desha dekhaiya Prabhu hate tali diya, apane kirtana kore shishya gana loya. The Lord then demonstrated for his students the process of kirtan by hate tali diya, by clapping his hands while chanting. Hare Krishna, Hare. I can't clap because I'm holding my laptop with my hands. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Disha Dekhaiya means showed the direction, the process, the tradition, the method, or ascertaining the way. Apane kirtana nath koren kirtan, jodike bediya gai saba shishya gan. The Lord of Kirtan personally chanted his glories as his students surrounded him and all chanted together. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Kirtananath means the father of Sankirtan, the inaugurator of Sankirtan, or the personification of Sankirtan. Avishta hoya Prabhu nija nama rase, Gada gadi jai Prabhu, dhulai aveshe. Absorbed in the sweet taste of his own name, the Lord rolled in the dust under its overpowering influence. The overpowering influence of the sweet taste of his own name. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Nija Nama Rase in this verse indicates that he who is engaged in kirtan is the sole object of the kirtan. The holy names of the Lord and the Lord himself are non-different, and Gaura and Krishna are non-different. Therefore, when Mahaprabhu sings his own glories, the Madhurya Ras of Krishna, the Lord of Goloka, and the Aishwarya Ras of Narayan, the Lord of Vaikuntha, are manifested. Mahaprabhu displayed the pastime of becoming absorbed in Krishna by relishing these transcendental mellows of the holy names and by giving up absorption in Maya, which is subordinate to Krishna. Oh, bolo, bolo, boli, Prabhu, chaturdike pore, prithvi vidirna hoy, achade, achade. The Lord repeatedly fell down here and there while crying out, Bolo, bolo, chant, chant. The earth cracked under his repeated falls. Gandagola shuni sarva nadia nagar, dhaya ailat sabe thakurer ghar. On hearing the sound of the uproar, all the inhabitants of Nadia came running to the Lord's residence. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Nadia Nagar refers to all the inhabitants of Nadia. Nikate vashoye jato Vaishnaver ghar, kirtana shuniya shabe aila satvar. All the Vaishnavas who lived nearby immediately came there when they heard the sound of the kirtan. Prabhur aveshe dekhi sarva bhaktagan, Parama apurva sabhe bhave mane man, Parama santosha sabhe hoila antare. Ebeshe kirtana hoilo nadia nagare, Emona durlabha bhakti achaye jagate, Nayana safala bhakti achaye sai. Nayana safala hoy e bhakti dekhite, Jata odhater sai. Jata odhater sima sima e vishvambar, Prema dekhilaya naradadiro dushkar. Heno udatter jadi heno bhakti hoy, Na bhuji Krishner icha eba kiba hoy. When the devotees saw the Lord overwhelmed with ecstasy, they thought that they had never experienced anything so wonderful. They became fully satisfied at heart, thinking, now Kirtan has been inaugurated in the town of Nadia. Is there such rare devotion in the world? The purpose of the eyes is fulfilled by the sight of such devotion. This Vishvambar was the ultimate limit of all arrogance. Before he was the ultimate limit of all arrogance. Yet now we have seen him in love of God that is rare for even persons like Narad. If such an arrogant person can attain such devotion, then we cannot understand the will of Krishna or what this person will become. Gaudiya Bhashya. And verse 417, one second, let me just find. Okay. In verse 417, the word Sima means ultimate or supreme. And the word Dushkar means rare, difficult to obtain, or uncommon. The incarnation of Gaur and the glories of Kirtan are elaborately described by Tridandi Goswami Shripad Prabodhananda Saraswati in his Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata verse 111 to 121, 124, 126 to 128, 133, and 134 as follows. Okay, this is Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata. When the most merciful Śrī Caitanya-dev suddenly appeared in this world, then there was no longer need for yoga, meditation, chanting of mantras, undergoing austerities, renunciation, following strict vows, studying the Vedas, or strict principles of behavior. What to speak of these, even those who were reluctant to give up their sinful activities happily plundered the topmost love, which is the crest jewel of all goals of life. When the most wonderful and opulent Śrī Caitanya-dev appeared in this world, even the fruit of workers' minds, which were merged in the currents of formidable fruit of activities, became pacified by attaining love of God, and though such minds were harder than the hardest stone, they melted by the transcendental mellows of devotional service. Even the hearts of persons engaged in the performance of intense yoga practice retired from such temporary practice and began to dance. In other words, they relished love of God in the spiritual kingdom of Adhokshaj. Now that Lord Chaitanya Chandra has revealed the path of pure devotional service. Now that he has revealed the path of devotional service, the materialists have given up talking about their wives, children, and material affairs. The scholars have given up debating the scriptures. The yogis have given up the trouble to control their breath. The ascetics have given up their austerities, and the impersonalists have given up studying Vedanta. No one is attracted to anything other than the sweet taste of devotional service to Krishna. In every home, there is a tumult of Hari Sankirtan. In everyone's body, the symptoms of ecstasy, like shedding tears and hairs standing on end, are seen. In every heart is the most exalted and sweet spiritual path that leads far from the path of the four Vedas. All this has appeared now that Lord Gaura has descended to this world. When the most attractive and enchanting Lord Sri Krishna appeared in this world with a golden complexion, the whole world was suddenly flooded with the nectarian ocean of pure love for Krishna and struck with wonder by seeing extraordinary transformations of ecstatic love that were never seen or heard before. In the past, many scholars became extremely proud, thinking themselves the omniscient masters of all scriptures, and many others thought that they had become perfect through the performance of austerities or the constitutional and conditional duties mentioned in the Smritis. Some persons situated on the preliminary or advanced stages of Sankhya Yoga chanted the holy names of the Lord 2 or 3 times. Yet, the hearts of all such persons were full of the cheating propensity. That was in the past. But now that Lord Gaurachandra has appeared, love for Lord Krishna has become common. In other words, it has become available to all, including the most sinful. Now the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Śrī Caitanya-dev, who is the enjoyer of transcendental pastimes and whose lotus feet the demigods aspire to serve, has descended to this world and totally flooded it with the sweet nectarian waves of pure love for Krishna. Now, who is a child? Who is an old man? Who is a fool? Who is a woman? Who is fallen? Who is unfortunate? Everyone of this world is now qualified to attain devotional service and the wonderful unalloyed mellows of love for the lotus feet of Sri Hari has manifested in their hearts. Now that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Gaurachandra, the crest jewel of those who relish the mellows of love of God, has descended to this earth, the demigods headed by Shiva and Narad, as the devotees headed by Advaita and Srivas, they appeared with him. Goddess Lakshmi Devi herself, as Sri Lakshmi Priya and Sri Vishnu Priya, has also appeared with him. Lord Baladev, who is non-different from Swayam Bhagavan and who is the plenary manifestation of the Lord, as Nityananda Prabhu, who smashed the atheist, was also present. The Yadavas, Shachi and Jagannath, also manifested. What more can I say? The Vrajvasis headed by Nanda Maharaj, the cowherd boys headed by Subal, the Lord Shaktis headed by the Gopis, the Lord's servants, headed by Raktak and Chitrak. In other words, all the eternally perfect associates of Krishna's pastimes. They all appeared in the pastimes of Gaur. Now that the golden complexioned Lord is distributing pure, extraordinary love of Krishna in this world, his servants, friends, and eternally perfect maidservants situated in Madhurya Ras, devoid of conceptions of opulence, have all come to his lotus feet to relish the invaluable wealth of pure love for Krishna, which is more palatable than anything they had relished before in Krishna's pastimes. When the most glorious and extraordinary Śrī Caitanya appeared in this world, married women laughed loudly after giving up all their shyness due to love of Krishna. The stone-like hearts of materialists attached to sense gratification completely melted, and those devoid of spiritual knowledge ridiculed the society of learned scholars after receiving spiritual knowledge through the mercy of Śrī Caitanya. In other words, they ridiculed the scriptural knowledge of the so-called learned persons who claimed to be expert scholars. Before the advent of Śrī Caitanya in this world, the constitutional propensities in the form of service to Krishna, of scholars proud of knowing all scriptures, were practically covered. They did not endeavor to achieve love of Krishna, which is the crest jewel of life's objectives, because their intelligence was ordinary and irresolute. But since Gaurachandra has mercifully appeared in this world, who has not merged into the most incomprehensible and wonderful loving devotional service that is full of the most elevated radiant mellow of conjugal love and nourished by ingredients like vibhav and anubhav? Although the great omniscient sages established their respective doctrines on the basis of reason and argument, no one was firmly convinced by their prejudiced philosophy. But since Śrī Gaurachandra, whose glories are inexhaustible, has appeared in this world, who has not confidently accepted that devotional service to Hari is the only spiritual activity and purpose of the Vedas? Some persons have become successful in achieving the abode of Vaikuntha with the support of some most pious, ancient great personalities. But no one has ever before immersed the entire world in the ocean of love of God like Śrī Caitanya-chandra has. Even after maintaining incomparable attachment for religiosity and properly taking shelter of pure devotional service, people live in this world with hearts as hard as iron. But how wonderful that through the mercy of Śrī Gaur Hari, sinful persons who are lower than the cow killers after becoming totally freed from sinful propensities, those persons have flooded the entire world with their flowing tears of love. How wonderful! Who can understand the incomprehensible pastimes of the golden complexioned Śrī Gauranga Sundar? He has amazed the entire world with his unfathomable glories. Absorbed in the mood of Krishna, sometimes he crawled like child Krishna. Sometimes he manifested the characteristics of the cowherd boys. Sometimes he made various gestures as he danced. And sometimes he pathetically cried in separation while chanting Hari, Hari, Hari in the mood of Radharani. When Śrī Gaurasundar was intoxicated with love for himself and began to dance and jump high in this world, the demigods played drums, the principal Gandharvas congregationally chanted the Lord's names, and the Siddhas constantly showered flowers that covered the entire earth. At that time, great sages who were expert in reciting selected verses offered him their prayers with love. Being absorbed in the nectarian mellows of Mahabhav, Śrī Gaur Hari sometimes laughed, sometimes cried, sometimes fell unconscious, sometimes rolled on the ground, sometimes walked swiftly, sometimes sighed deeply, and sometimes loudly exclaimed, Ha, ha! In this way, he enjoyed his pastimes in this world. Verse 419. Kshanike hoila bahya. So, Kishore is saying that. Wait. What is the comments? Ishwar said, Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata is an amazing read. Highly recommend. Yeah, it seems as so beautiful. Kone ke hoila bhaya Vishwambhar Rai, Shabe Prabhu Krishna Krishna bolo ye sadai. After a while, Lord Vishwambhar regained his external consciousness, but he continually chanted the name of Krishna. Bahya hoile o bahya katha nahi koi, Sarva Vaishnaver gola dhoriya kandai. Although the Lord regained his external consciousness, he did not talk of external subjects. Rather, he cried while holding the necks of all the Vaishnavas. In other words, embracing them. Sabe mili thakurere sthir koraya. Sabe mili thakurere sthira koraya. Cholila Vaishnava sab mahananda hoya. Thereafter, all the Vaishnavas pacified the Lord and departed in great delight. Kono kono porua shakala prabhu shange, udasina patalo elen prema range. Some of the students happily took the path of renunciation by following in the footsteps of the Lord. Or at the very end, just letting you know, this is the last page. This page right here. Gaudiya Bhashya. Some of the students accepted the orders of vanaprastha or sannyas to follow the Lord's most ideal example of renunciation from the material world. They did not accept vanaprastha or sannyas with the mentality of fruitive workers, nor did they accept vanaprastha or sannyas with the mentality of mental speculators. They were inspired by the intense ecstasy of Krishna's devotional service to accept proper Vaishnav vanaprastha or proper Vaishnav sannyas. Arambhila Mahaprabhu apana prakash, shakala bhakter dukkha hoilo vinash. In this way, Mahaprabhu began to manifest himself, and the miseries of all the devotees were vanquished. Śrī Caitanya-Nityananda Chanda Jan, Vrindavana Dasata Chupada Juge Gan. Accepting Śrī Caitanya and Nityananda Prabhu as my life and soul, I, Vrindavan Das, sing the glories of their lotus feet. Thus ends our English translation of the Gaudiya Bhashya commentary on Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata, Madhya-khaṇḍa, Chapter 1, entitled The Beginning of the Lord's Manifestation and His Instructions on kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana. Jai Śrī Kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana ki Jai, Śrī Krishna Chaitanya Dev, Śrī Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki Jai. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki Jai, Madhya-khaṇḍa ki Jai. Jai Śrī Gaura Nityananda Prabhu ki Jai, Śrī Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Wow, that was just overflowing. Now it's officially begun, the inauguration of the Sankirtan pastimes in Caitanya-bhāgavata. Hari Bol Vangsi Wala Prabhu and Ganga Mataji, Hare Krishna. All right, so now after that we can do some kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana. We can sing the holy names of Krishna. kṛṣṇa-saṅkīrtana. Let me just make sure the mic is Śrī Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita. One second, let me move this over. Sorry. I just don't want my computer to fall off this. There. Okay. Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Śrī Caitanya Prabhu Nityananda Śrī Advaita Gadadhar Śrīvasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. This is a song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, accompanied by his angas, that's associates Nityananda and Advaita Prabhu, his upangas, who are servitors like Srivas Pandit and other pure devotees, and parshads, that's confidential companions such as Sri Swarup Damodar and Sri Rai Ramananda, Sri Gadadhar Pandit, and the 6 Goswamis. And equipped with his weapon, the names of Hari, Sri Gauranga, the embodiment of Bhav, dances in great delight. That son of Mother Shachi wanders throughout the land of Nadia as he sings the holy names of the Lord, which purify the age of Kali, as follows. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Anga Upanga Astra Parshara Sange Anga Upanga Astra Parshara Sange Nachay Bhava Murati Gaura Range Nachay Bhava Murati Gaura Range Gaut Kali Juga Pavana Nam Gaut Kali Juga Pavana Nam Brahma Shachi Sut Radhe Yadam. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Nama. Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Oh Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai. Kishore Prabhu, would you like to do the Jai Dhwani?
जय सबरीकार शेषी गुरु गौरंग कन्हर विका गिरिधरि राधा विनार विहरे राधा नयनाथ राधा रमन विहरे राधा मार्व शेषी राधा चल चिकन जीव की जय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मरण मोहन जीव की जय। जय नित्य लील प्रविष्टम विष्णु पार परमहंस प्रिय व्रजचार वर्यस्तो दृष्ट शिष्यमान भक्ति विज्ञान भारती गोस्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार परमहंस व्रजचार्य वर्यस्तो दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्तिभ्रांत नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज पतित पावन श्रील गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्ति बल तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार दृष्ट शिशुमान भक्तिभ्रांत वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपारस्तोत्रस्त शिशुमान भक्तिभ्रांत विक्रम गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपारस्तोत्रस्त शिशुमान भक्ति प्रमार गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपारस्तोत्रस्त शिशुमान भक्ति रक्षक श्रीधर गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपारस्तोत्रस्त शिशुमान भक्तिभ्रांत स्वामी गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार स्तोत्रस्त शिष्यमान भक्ति दयित मार्ग गोस्वामी परम गुरु महाराज की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार स्तोत्रस्त शिष्यमान भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज परम गुरुदेव की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार स्तोत्रस्त शिष्यमान जगत गुरु श्री वृषभानाभि दयित दास शिल भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार शिल प्रभुपाद भक्ति श्रान सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर महाशय की जय। स्वापरिका श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपार महापरम भगवत परवार परमहंस अवधूत अष्टोत्तरस्त शिष्यमार गौर किशोर दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद सप्तम गोस्वामी अष्टोत्तरस्त शिष्यमार सचितानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर महाशय की जय। नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सर्वभौम अष्टोत्तरस्त शिष्यमार जगन्नाथ स्वामी महाराज की जय। सूर्य कुंदवासी सिद्धशिल मरसुंदास स्वामी महाराज की जय। श्री उदयदास उदरानदास की जय। गुरुविदान आचार्य श्री श्रीमान बलदेव विभूषण प्रभु की जय। महामहोपध्याय रसकृष्ण मनीषल विश्वनाथ चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर पाल की जय। श्री श्रील रसिकानंद मुरारी प्रभु की जय। श्री श्रील रामचंद्र कविराज की जय। श्रील चंदास ठाकुर की जय। जय श्री शील नर हरीश्वर ठाकुर की जय। जय शिल नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर महाशय श्रीनिवासाचार्य श्यामानंद पंडित प्रभुत्राय की जय। जय श्रील कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। यश अवतार अर्का विशल वृंदावन रस ठाकुर की जय। श्री अष्टक विनाश वसुर जानव नित्यानंद दुष्टपाल श्री चौषति महंत की जय। जय श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ सर्गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर रोय रमानंद लोकनाथ पुगर्भ अडी गौर परिशार वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्रील ईश्वरपुरी गोस्वामी पाद की जय। श्री शैलम अरविंदपुरी गोस्वामी पाद की जय। श्री अंडरद्वीप मायपुर सिमंद्वीप गौद्रमद्वीप मध्यद्वीप बलुद्वीप ऋतुद्वीप जानुद्वीप मातृद्रुमाद्वीप रुद्रद्वीप मात्मका श्री नावद्वीप धाम की जय। श्री एक चक्र धाम की जय। श्री शांतिपुर धाम की जय। श्री गौरचंद्र भगवान की जय। जय श्री निमाय पंडित की जय। जय श्री निमाय पंडित की जय। जय श्री श्री गौर गदाधर जी की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ गोपी गोपाक गिरगोवर्धन वृषाध्वनात्माक श्री ब्रजमंडल धाम की जय। जय श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गंग सखी आमन सखी तुलसी भक्ति देवी की जय। वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा रानी ठाकुरानी की जय। जय श्री ललिता विशाख चित्र चंपकलता टंग विद्या इंदुलेखा रंग देवी सुदेवी आदि सख्य वृंद की जय। श्री अनंग प्रेम मंजलाल श्री रूपल मंगा राघविल सुगुण रति कस्तूरी कमल नयन मणि अरि मंजारी वृंद की जय। श्रीमती वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भगवती पूर्णमास योगमाय देवी की जय। श्री गोपीश्वर सर शिव महादेव की जय। राधा पदन की तदाम श्री वृंदावन की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र नीलमाधव जू की जय। श्री तत्व गोपीनाथ की जय। श्री चकट पर्वत की जय। श्री दंडभंग लीला स्थल की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद जन्मस्थान की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र मंडल नीलाचल धाम की जय। सर्वा विघ्नामिनाशन करे भक्त विघ्नामिनाश श्री इंद्र सिंह देव की जय। भक्तराज भक्त प्रवर श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री प्रहलाद लक्ष्मीन्द्र सिंहदेव की जय। जय श्री चरिराम चरि संप्रदाय चर्याचार्य की जय। श्री मध्वा रमनुजा विष्णु स्वामी निम्बदित्य चर्याचार्य की जय। आकर्मतरा श्री चैतन्य मात की जय। श्री गौरीमार वृंद की जय। ग्रंथरा श्रीमार भगवताम भगवद गीता चैतन्य चरितामृत चैतन्य भगवत जैव धर्म आदि सर्व गौरी वैष्णव ग्रंथ वृंद की जय। त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम प्रभु की जय। त्रिभुवन मंगल श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन युग धर्म की जय। त्रिभुवन मंगल धन्य कलित तर्क ब्रह्म श्री हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे महामंत्र की जय। श्री आनंद कुरे वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री समकट गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। परमेश्वर परम ब्रह्मन परम सत्यम पतित पावन प्रेम पुरुषोत्तम स्वयं भगवान जगन्नाथ मिश्र नंदन गौर सुंदर कराधर प्राणनाथ श्री विश्वम्बर मिश्र निमाय पंडित श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य चंद्र महाप्रभु की जय। परमादयाल श्रीमान नित्यानंद राम महाजान की जय। जय श्री चैतन्य भगवत की जय। जय शिल वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। जय शिल प्रभुपाद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। जय शिल प्रभुपाद गौर वश्य की जय। जय श्रीनिताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम वृंदायै तुलसी देव्यै प्रिययै केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रददेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Dandavat pranams, everybody. Hare Krishna. Um, Nari Hari Prabhu, Dandavat pranams, Bhavatarani Mataji, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, Shubhananda Prabhu, And let's see, on YouTube and Facebook, Vidyalala Sadidi, Prajumna Prabhu, Mantramurti Mataji, Sudevi Didi, Rup Manjari Didi, Nitai, Govinda Saha, so great to have you back, Ganga Mataji, and Vangshiwala Prabhu, and I see there are some other devotees watching. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Bro, one question.
Yes.
Would you be so kind to start a Madhya-khaṇḍa Chaitanya-bhāgavata playlist?
Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding me. Yes, I need to do that. Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that today. Yeah. Cool. Tomorrow we're going to be starting the second chapter. Let's see, what's the title of the second chapter? It's The Lord's Manifestation at the House of Srivas and the Inauguration of Saṅkīrtana. So that's tomorrow. The Lord's Manifestation at the House of Srivas. Cool. Yeah, this Madhya-khaṇḍa is really just now it's really starting to overflow, whatever, I don't know what the word is, but yeah. All right, so does anybody have anything? Yeah, it's starting to get real juicy. Yeah, that's right, sure. Yes. Anybody has anything to say, then now is the time. Otherwise, I'll end for today. All right, so I'll see you all tomorrow. Jai Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari Ki Jai. All glories to the Sankirtan pastimes of Gaur Hari. Hare Krishna. Hari Bol, everybody. Dandavat pranams.